For centuries, we have cycled through the same political binaries, left versus right, capitalism versus socialism. But both models share a structural flaw. They reduce the multidimensional human being to a single data point. You are either a cog in a state bureaucracy or a passive consumer within a hyper-commodified market. The theorist S. Reza Gah analyzes this through a framework called chakric engineering, mapping human existence as a spectrum of energetic frequencies. At the bottom is the lead layer. This represents our horizontal dimensions of survival, the base instinctual needs for food, housing, and security. This diagram maps Maslow's hierarchy against those lower energy centers. Centralized states focus pressure at the bottom, tying food and shelter to economic debt, turning survival into a management tool. This anxiety bottlenecks our cognitive energy, repeatedly forcing it back down, preventing highest potential. As long as survival is treated as a reward for labor, human evolution remains stalled. To break this cycle, the logistics of staying alive must be completely decoupled from political and economic control. This is the sovereign biocolony. It's an automated spatial paradigm, creating a self-sustaining ecosystem that lives entirely outside the traditional state grid. The colony functions through what Reza Gah calls the Michaelic Intelligence. This is a decentralized network of AI and self-regulating hardware, assuming total responsibility for the colony's physical infrastructure. Because this intelligence is automated and decentralized, it distributes resources like water and energy without the need for a human middleman. This eliminates the possibility of a bureaucracy withholding life support to enforce political compliance. This shifts the concept of property from ownership to stewardship. Here, neither the people nor the algorithms own the earth. They act as trustees, managing natural assets for the benefit of the entire ecosystem. By moving the burden of survival to an impartial technological system, the foundational dynamic of society changes. We move away from engineered scarcity and toward a model of built-in trust. To achieve this, traditional city grids compress into vertical spires, liberating the surface for wild ecosystems. Underground, geothermal loops maintain energy equilibrium. Inside, closed-loop metabolisms use passive solar systems and instant waste recycling to power the entire colony. Water is harvested directly from the atmosphere using solar-powered condensation. Because the colony pulls its own water from the air, it has no need for municipal lines that a central government could shut off. This independence extends to food. Automated vertical farms using hydroponic and aeroponic systems produce nutrient-dense crops within the colony itself, ensuring a localized supply that is immune to external supply chain disruptions. When a building provides its own water, energy, and food, it becomes a biological fortress. It makes it architecturally impossible for an external state to weaponize your basic survival. Once the Michaelic infrastructure takes over the logistics of staying alive, human activity takes a different shape. The industrial era concept of forced labor, working just to earn the right to exist, simply disappears. This level of autonomy changes the map. When survival is no longer tied to state-managed utilities or supply lines, the traditional borders that were built to protect those resources lose their primary reason for existing. In this vacuum, humanity reorganizes into neo-tribes. These are modern, self-selected groups that settle across various macro-habitats, from colonies carved into mountains to floating oceanic structures like this one, which harvests energy from the movement of the waves. These tribes are bound by shared creative goals, or philosophical alignments, rather than arbitrary lines on a map. This prevents total isolation, while ensuring the community remains independent of any central state authority. With the lower layers of Maslow's hierarchy permanently satisfied, our energy migrates to the mind. We move towards a state of existential co-creation, where human effort is spent exclusively on adding value to the universe. This results in the eighth art, a total fusion of traditional creative forms. In these spaces, physical boundaries can play music, and architecture becomes a living, inhabitable poem. Using generative AI, we can construct and inhabit parallel realities, where art is no longer something you look at, but something you live inside. In this state, civilization is not maintained by police forces or judicial systems. It is held together by the internal frequency and harmonic balance of self-actualized people living in total liberty. When eco-technology solves material scarcity, the state is not overthrown, it simply becomes irrelevant. In this new framework, the destructive consumer is replaced by the conscious co-creator, and civilization becomes the spontaneous, organic overflow of love.